Welcome back for another video. So this is the final pre-season update, everything you need to know across all 20 teams, including results, form players, tactics and more. And to round the series off, I've put together a table for you all, which lists the most in-form players in the league heading into Game Week 1. That'll be covered at the end of the video, so stick around for that. There's useful content on this channel every week throughout the season to help you hit your rank target and win your mini-league, so make sure you're subscribing. Scout's pre-season page is one of the main resources I use for these, where you can find the fixtures and results, form players, including lots of information not included here, including minutes by player, set piece takers and new signings. There's tons of other perks included like the Rate My Team tool, player comparison, data tables and more. It's only a few quid per month as well, so give it a try using the link below. Starting off with Arsenal then, who have played twice since the last update, both 1-1 draws with Monaco and then Man City in the Community Shield. Final lineups are generally a good indication of how a team's going to line up for Game Week 1, and this was how Arsenal lined up for that one. Zinchenko hasn't featured at all in pre-season, however Timber's really impressed when playing in left back. Havertz actually started up top against Man City, though Trossard once again had an impact off the bench, forcing an own goal which led to Arsenal winning on penalties. Saka, Arsenal's most informed player with 2 goals and 3 assists. Trossard's got 3 goals and an assist, and he is £1.5 million cheaper, but not necessarily nailed. Jesus picked up a knee injury and he will miss the start of the season. 1 goal, 1 assist for Martinelli, who is the best attacker after Saka in my eyes. Odegaard's role can be a bit deeper on average in games where Havertz does start next to him. A good pre-season for Arsenal and great signings made. Their only loss was the 2-0 game to Man United. Arsenal are also looking to sign Raya from Brentford, but Ramsdale's spot will be secure, could change further down the line. Aston Villa next then, and on the subject of Jesus' injury, Watkins has emerged as a popular pick for the same price. He's got 4 goals in pre-season, which could have been more if not for a missed penalty. He's been the standout performer at Villa, and this was how they lined up for the final match they played. New signing Torres has been getting plenty of minutes, though Konsa might actually be the most nailed of the defenders, able to play in centre back and right back. Matty Cash has 2 returns in pre-season. Watkins is one player who should benefit from the new stoppage time rule, which will lead to games lasting longer. He's got an amazing engine on him, good fitness record, and he's averaged 3,100 minutes over the last 3 seasons. Bournemouth next, and we'll keep this one brief. No stand-up performers in pre-season. New signing Kluivert does have 2 assists, Solanke's got 1 assist, Christie has 1 goal and 2 assists, but he's not a feasible FPL option. Solanke was an unused substitute in their final game. Iraola said they decided not to put him on because if you feel anything's not 100% you don't take risks, might be carrying a minor injury. On to Brentford, who finished their pre-season playing Lille. Frank split his squad to play them twice, the first a goalless draw, which looked like the potential Game Week 1 lineup, and the second team won 5-1. In the absence of Tony, Visser has been playing as a centre forward, very under the radar pick for 6 mil, especially given the opening fixtures. And Mbeumo's playing in right wing for the most part, and he scored a penalty against Aston Villa in the 3-3 draw. So Mbeumo's on both penalties and corners, last season taking 70 odd corners. Flecken ended pre-season with his first clean sheet for Brentford. He's had an up and down pre-season, he has made some mistakes in earlier matches. Looks like he's no Raya, but potential to come good still. Many of us are looking at Brighton given their great opening 3 fixtures, so here's the rundown. They ended pre-season with a 1-1 draw, but don't be fooled by the result. Brighton completely dominated this one. They just weren't able to take their chances. 25 shots to Vallecano's 4. Matoma blanked, but he did look very lively. João Pedro scored from the penalty spot, with Gross on the pitch. So $5.5 million forward Pedro looks like an excellent pick right now. This is a great graphic from FPL Goal on how they lined up for that final game. Beware Ferguson owners. Welbeck looks like he might lead the line in Game Week 1, with João Pedro in just behind him. De Zerbi has remarked on rotation in pre-season, so we could be frustrated at times this season, particularly once European football starts for Brighton after Game Week 5. Burnley finished pre-season with a 3-0 loss to Mainz, 7 games played in total. If Bayer is your 4 mil defender of choice, then the good news is he actually scored against Betis, which was actually an Al-Dakhil assist. Al-Dakhil also a 4 mil defender, perhaps a little more of a rotational risk, but he's been playing advanced in right wing back or inverted right back this pre-season. Rated highly among Burnley fans as a future star, still only 21 years old. No one else has leaped out in pre-season. $5.5 million Rodriguez is on penalties for Burnley, but not a good option. João Pedro for the same price, better. Chelsea have had an eventful pre-season, lots of returns spread around, and Nkunku, Jackson and Chilwell are the 3 standouts. Unfortunately Nkunku injured his knee against Dortmund and he's reportedly out for a couple of months. This means Jackson looks completely nailed, but the question is whether he'll be worth it given they'll be weaker in attack. Many Chelsea fans feel that he won't be worth it without Nkunku. Not a bad punt for 7 mil though, and he has more returns than any Chelsea player with 2 goals and 3 assists. Chilwell's been taking up very dangerous positions, popping up in the box at times, shooting on sight, and he's been taking some corners from both sides. Very solid pick for 5.5 mil and preferable to James right now. Gusto has impressed as well in right back, potential FPL gem if James gets injured. Eze's thrown his name into the ring as a 6.5 mil midfielder who's looking difficult to ignore. Another one who will benefit from the new stoppage time rule. He's played 90 every single match after Hodgson took charge last season, 6 goals and 2 assists in the 10 games under Hodgson. 2 goals, 5 assists this pre-season. He's on penalties. 4.5 mil Akamada has a goal and 2 assists, but he's a rotation risk, though he does offer more than Nakamba offensively. Anderson from Newcastle has performed the best of the bunch in the 4.5 mil bracket though, more on that later. When we look at the overall form table at the end, you'll see Eze's name right near the top. Everton have kept 4 clean sheets in pre-season. The forgotten man Calvert-Lewin started in their final game against Sporting and he scored their only goal, which was a penalty. 2 halves of football played across their final 2 games for DCL. Tarkowski limped off in the second half against Sporting. Dyche thinks it's just a knock and wanted to be extra careful. We'll know more on Friday in his Game Week 1 pre-match press conference. If it's worse than feared, then avoid the Everton defence, for example Pickford. New signing Jimenez scored in Fulham's final pre-season friendly, which was a 2-1 win over Hoffenheim, and he led the line from kick-off. Last season's 4.5 mil hero Andreas got an assist that game, and new signing Bassi scored as well. Not much else to report at Fulham, so let's move straight on. If you do appreciate the effort that goes into each video, make sure you are subscribing. There's more content like this every game week this season. So on to Liverpool then. So much to discuss here. The most goals scored in pre-season across all teams. So Salah ends the pre-season with the most returns in the league as well, 2 goals and 7 assists. He's in around 23% of teams, which is almost a differential, which is crazy. Given the emergence of João Pedro as a cheap forward option, a Haaland and Salah draft looks absolutely viable and could even be the best way to go. That Bournemouth game in Game Week 2 could propel you up the ranks if Salah outscores Haaland when City face Newcastle elsewhere. A word of warning though, Darwin was benched in Liverpool's final 2 matches, which could indicate another benching against Chelsea on Sunday. We've seen Szoboszlai and Robertson taking some corners in pre-season over Trent as well, so his appeal in that sense is a bit reduced. This is how Liverpool lined up for their final game. One concern I have with Trent is the space that he leaves him behind when he pushes up into midfield. Bayern exploited this on several occasions, leading to 2 of their goals, so I'm not convinced enough to spend the 8 mil on him myself. Although it's not all about the clean sheets, at 8 mil you wouldn't expect a fair few, so it is still part of his appeal. And until they secure a defensive mid, it could be a recurring problem unless Klopp makes tactical changes. The latest is that Liverpool's 45 mil bid for Lavia has been rejected by Southampton. If you fancy the risk, then Diaz or Jota could be worth a go, but I'd rather spend the money on the likes of Martinelli for about the same price, or save your money on the quality in the 6.5 mil bracket. Luton finished their pre-season playing against the same opponent twice, the A and B team. Further news on the 4 mil defenders then. Bell started in centre back for their final game, while Kabore was in right wing back, so if you were on Bell then make the switch to Kabore. Talisman Morris has 3 goals in pre-season, though given their away to Brighton and then a blank in Game Week 2, he's in a void for now. Man City historically slow starters and have short pre-seasons. They did beat Yokohama thanks to a Haaland brace in particular, and then they beat Bayern, then they lost to Atletico and then Arsenal on penalties in the Community Shield. The Arsenal game was a bit of a shake-up. This was how they lined up. Alvarez started that one, Foden was benched. De Bruyne came off the bench for his first involvement in pre-season and he assisted Palmer, who was City's only scorer. Haaland had a really quiet game, failed to register a shot or a touch in the box. He took 13 touches in total and he was subbed off at 64 minutes. However, let's not forget he blanked in the Community Shield last year and the rest is history. Based on what we've seen, you can absolutely make the case for Saka captaincy in Game Week 1 though. He looks the next best option. New signing Gvardiol comes in at 5 mil for Man City, perhaps even has a chance of starting in Game Week 1 given Ake's carrying injury, but he's one to watch for now. Man City had the first game of the season on Friday, so make sure you are tuned into the deadline stream on this channel. Any early news we get on their starting 11 pre-deadline will be shared live. Man United's final pre-season game was a rotated side, having played Lens the day before. Rashford scored in his final match against RC Lens, as did Anthony and Casemiro. So Haaland comes in at 7 mil on FPL, although Man United have said it may be a few weeks before he's seen in action due to a small issue he sustained during pre-season training with his former club. And Nana's done fine overall, though in the final game he was lobbed from distance. Overall he has been solid in pre-season though, still a good pick. Fernandes has played more advanced than Mount, and despite just the one goal he has been excellent, really good FPL pick, could be on for a 200-point season. Might even be a better pick than Rashford, but I've got both for now. Newcastle have had a busy pre-season. Out of seemingly nowhere, Anderson's been tearing it up with 4 goals and 3 assists. Howe said it's no coincidence though, behind the scenes he has been working hard on his fitness. He's only 4.5 mil in FPL. He's not nailed, and Longstaff has just returned from injury, but given the form he's shown, he'll surely get some starts. Newcastle attack does look a bit unpredictable, so Isak and Wilson best avoided in favour of other forwards for now. We could see Barnes in left wing and Isak and Wilson competing for the striker spot, but we could just as easily see Isak in left wing again. Perhaps the worst pre-season in the league goes to Nottingham Forest, who have failed to find the back of the net in their last 4 matches, conceding 8 times over that run. Sorry for the reminder if you are a Forest fan watching this, they're a hard avoid on FPL. However, Forest have agreed terms with Turner from Arsenal, who is 4 mil on FPL. If this deal gets over the line before Game Week 1 and his team is updated on FPL, then Turner just might be the best 4 mil goalkeeper of them all. That's all I'm keeping an eye on as far as Forest at the moment. Sheffield United haven't had a great pre-season either, losing their last 4 games, 1 goal scored over that run. Another reason that Eze looks really appealing for Game Week 1. They're not the same defensively solid Sheffield United team we saw a few years back. Their top goal scorer in Dice left this transfer window as well. Perhaps that's good news if you are a Johnston owner in Game Week 1. Could be a difficult season for United. Former defender Bulldog scored though. On to Tottenham then, and there's been a massive shake-up among the strikers recently. First it was Jesus and then Nkunku's injuries, João Pedro's stock going up, and then the latest news is that Spurs have rejected Bayern's latest bid for Kane. As a reminder, for 1.5 mil less than Haaland, he scored just 9 points fewer last season. To add to the dilemma, Kane found the back of the net 4 times against Shakhtar. Son's not impressed in pre-season unfortunately. The wingers seem to have been instructed to stay wide at times, but it is the fullbacks that underlap. As a consequence, Udogie's one player is really impressed for 4.5 mil. Watch the highlights from the Shakhtar game and he was absolutely everywhere. Edge of the box, inside the box, shooting, taking players on. He's an absolute baller, and he was someone we talked about at the very start of pre-season, has a massive differential, still only 1.1% owned, currently in my team. Maddison's been playing very well too, 2 assists last match. If Kane does stick around then he'll be a gem for 7.5 mil. On to West Ham, disappointing 4-0 loss to end the pre-season, but lots of positives overall. Bowen finishes with 6 returns in pre-season, which came in the first 3 games. Bournemouth away in Game Week 1, which is a reasonable fixture. Perhaps 0.5 mil too expensive though to be worth consideration. Mbeumo, Eze and Mitoma better picks in my eyes. 4.5 mil forward Mubama has 3 goals in pre-season. Looks the best at that price bracket. Perfect to stick last on your bench. Don't expect him to start any games, but he might get the most minutes of all the cheap ones, given Skamaka has also left this transfer window. On to Wolves, and then we'll have a look at the form table across all teams. We'll keep Wolves brief as there's not loads to discuss here. Cunha's got 3 goals, but again for 5.5 mil, João Pedro's the one. Doherty marks his return to Wolves with an assist, but again there's better 4.5 mil defenders like Udogie, Colwell and Henry. There were reports that Lopetegui's considering his position as Wolves manager due to lack of signings. Could be a good Game Week 1 for Man United home to them, all things considered. Let's have a look at the final table then, and I'll link to this below in the comments if you'd like a copy to save and have a look further. One thing we have to bear in mind is that in pre-season it does consist of varying opponent strengths, so doing further investigation is always beneficial here. One thing is clear here, it's becoming increasingly difficult to overlook Salah with 9 returns in pre-season. Joshua in 2nd here and Darwin in 7th, so we could see Liverpool firing again this season after struggling last year. Eze is another one who leaps out, 2 goals and 5 assists, Palace's talisman on penalties. Let us know in the comments who you think the best 6.5 mil mid is. Emerson's got the most returns of all defenders, but he's a rotation risk with Cresswell, so avoid him. If Kane doesn't leave Spurs, then avoid Richarlison as well, who some people have been considering after getting 3 goals in pre-season. Chelsea have been doing well, but I do wonder how they'll fare without Nkunku, and I wonder who'll play in behind Jackson with him out injured, with both Mount and Havertz gone as well. Chukwuemeka could make a late run as the best 4.5 mil midfielder, but likely not nailed either. Later this week I'll be sharing my final Game Week 1 team, and we'll also have the return of the Expert Series, hundreds of top all-time managers sharing their plans every week. Hit subscribe so you don't miss out. See you soon for the next one.